What's going on, guys? It's Kyle again with DTOM Knives and Gear, and today we are going to be talking about a knife that I should have bought. This is the Brian Brown Yeager. This is loaned in to the channel by my, of course, good friend and brother who you all know, Jake, over at Bearded Gear. Definitely one of my favorite people in this community. And this knife was originally owned by Kevin, our other friend and brother. And he ended up selling this to Jake over at Bearded Gear. I thought about picking this up from him, but I didn't. I thought it was going to be too small. And it is a smaller knife, don't get me wrong. But that was a big mistake. This knife is absolutely amazing. So if that's what you're here for, to get justification for that, you cannot watch the rest of the video because it's that good. Brian Brown is a awesome maker, makes a lot of custom knives. These are the production knives that he had made by Riot. And of course, we all know that I really am impressed with Riot's work. Riot is the best offshore manufacturer, in my opinion. And so he picked a great manufacturer to produce this product. Now, there are a couple of different variations of this knife. You got full tie. You have this really nicely done green inlay of micarta. And then you also have a flipper version of this knife. Now, I'm going to go ahead and tell you that I know for a fact that I would not like the flipper. The reason, and we're going to jump into ergonomics here, is because with a flipper, this area right here has now a flipper sticking out, kind of acting like a handguard. And if I could not do this, where I choke up on this guy on this flat to hold the knife like this, then it would not be near as comfortable. Not for me anyways, because a choked back grip out here where the choil originally starts is fine, but as you can see, my pinky is falling off a little bit, and it's, still comfortable, but I would not want it because of that, and I wouldn't be able to bring my finger up here, boom, and do that number. That is something that is kind of new to me that I've really been enjoying, is knives without a finger choil, a flat, so I can choke up, and it's so comfortable. With the way the ergonomics are on this knife, with my finger there, it feels amazing. The pocket clip is really, really nicely done, 3D milled pocket clip. This one is the Damascus cut pocket clip that Jake took the color out of, and I think that is an excellent choice because it really brings this knife together. But just for an example, here is the Wingman small knife. Kind of not a small knife guy. Yeah, you're right. But this knife really surprised me because of this flat and the similar ergonomics that you find here. Whoop-cha, whoop-cha. So I'm able to choke up by putting my finger on that flat, wrap it around, and I've noticed that that's really comfortable for me, and I really enjoy that on a smaller knife. Now you have other smaller knives kind of in this size range, such as the PM2, that does have a forward finger choil that, yes, is very comfortable. And then you have ones like the F5.5 that is a smaller knife, but a finger choil that makes it very comfortable. However, the F5.5 was not originally. This one was modified by BJ Hill over at Hilltop Knife and Gear by my buddy Kevin Lefty EDC, my brother, who actually gifted me this knife and had it modified for me because he knew how much I loved it. But just my big sausagey fingers didn't fit in there. So this is ideal for me. But I've really come to enjoy the ergonomics of something like this. I don't know what it is. It almost doesn't, like outside looking in, doesn't seem like this would be as comfortable as a finger choil. But I'm telling you, this knife in particular, especially, and the Wingman, it's real comfortable. And I hold the knife like this, and I don't look back. I can cut anything I want to in this particular grip. One thing I do like, too, there is no jimping on this blade. I usually can take or leave jimping. Jimping is not a huge deal for me unless it's just really badly done. I usually like the close, tighter knit jimping on the blade. This one doesn't have it anywhere on the blade. It is a relatively thick stock on this guy, and so resting my thumb back here and getting behind the knife, super comfortable. Speaking of the blade, it is a Wharncliffe. Very nicely done Wharncliffe with this beautiful swedge on the top. Hollow grind M390 blade. This thing is a beast. A beast. It cuts super freaking well. Now, we're going to be going over specs and all that stuff, but just so you know, it's like 15 thousandths behind the edge on this guy, and it's a slicer. It really, really is a cutter. You know, it's a knife. It's supposed to cut. I get it. This one does it really well, especially because the blade stock thickness is not the thinnest in the world. You know, it's, what did I say it was? It is about, I've got a new computer, guys. So I'm actually sort of writing my stuff down to the side. I've got my little bitty laptop here. Really enjoying that. And so, yeah, what did I say, or what did it say it was? The blade stock thickness is about 156 thousandths, so it's not thin. You know, it's about standard in my opinion as far as blade stock thickness. But the hollow grind, see if you can see. I love that shape when you get a hollow grind, that particular shape at the end of a Wharncliffe style blade. Kind of like you get on the 2.0, Evolution 2.0. That's when I just really love that. And you can see that hollow grind there and how thin it gets down at the edge. 15 thousandths, and it is a cutter. I'm telling you. So it does have a sharpening choil, kind of, you know, it's got this little area here right past the plunge grind. So sharpening should be fine. From where I can see the edge starts. You know, with a Wharncliffe, an actual Wharncliffe style blade, you do get this tip to puncture stuff. Works really, really well. Now, like I said, this particular version is exactly the one that I would want. The non-flipper and the green micarta inlay. Look at this inlay. Oh, it is proud of the titanium, but it is done so freaking well. I have recently handled the Bestech Tugata, which actually had a micarta that was proud, the inlay, just like this one. And yes, this one is better. The inlay on the Tugata was good. It was good. This is not as, oh, what's the word I'm looking for? You can almost see the fibers on the edge of that micarta right where the transitions are. This one is so well done and beautiful. I can't get over it. You also have a little insert of micarta on this side, which I think is a very nice touch. All titanium hardware, titanium pivot, all that good stuff we come to know and love from Riot. And this design from Brian Brown is amazing. One of the things that makes this thing also really amazing and makes me want one like really bad is the detent. Riot does a good job on their detents, hence the F5.5, hence the 2.0. Well, it's technically Custom Knife Factory, but everybody says that Riot makes theirs. I don't really know. So the detent and the middle finger flick on this, money. Money, 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 money. I love playing with this knife, especially with this action. You know, it is a fall shut on your thumb when you get the lock bar out of the way, but with the pressure on the lock bar and the ceramic detent ball, it is super duper smooth running on these bearings, but it is not like a guillotine fall shut. It is more of a, just like that. That's how I closed it, let it go in my hand, and then one simple shake and it's gone. Very, very, very smooth and very satisfying to play with. I loved playing with this knife. Now, you can use that hole to do the thumb open. It's just not as intuitive for me. I'm horrible at using my thumb to deploy the knife on a hole. It's just one of those things, but it can be done. I can get my forward finger in there and get it done that way. It's so much fun. I can even do the reverse, hold it upside down, flick it out with my ring finger and open it up like this, which I never really do practically. But when I'm playing with a knife, I can actually do that, and it's really, really fun. It's super fun. This knife is just fucking classy. Okay, I love the design. It is absolutely probably one of my favorite looking knives that I've had on the channel in a while. I really dig the way this looks. Now, obviously, I've got a lot of knives that I really think are sexy, but man, getting this in hand and playing with this, oh my God, this thing just looks amazing. I mean, everything about it. There's really not anything on this knife that I can complain about. You know, guys, if you want a lanyard hole, this is not for you. It's something that, you know, he chose not to put on there because a lot of people still want a lanyard. And so I'm very happy that he took that off. One thing I did not mention, look at this crowned or rounded back spacer. I really like that. You see how it is just like just barely above the back of the scales, but it's rounded. It makes for such a comfortable grip. And I like the fact that it's nearly a full back spacer. It just adds rigidity. It feels like a tank. It feels like something that I could, really take out and just beat on and work on, and it still perform and hold up. Now, like I said, it's not a large knife, but it's large enough for me to actually want to carry this as a primary. The other two knives that I was kind of comparing this to before we flip the camera around and do size comparisons, these are secondary knives for me. This one is long enough, got a long enough cutting edge for me to want to carry as a primary. And I just loved pulling it out and showing people, what do you got? I mean, I don't want to send this back to Jake, but I have to. I don't want to. That's how much I like this knife, guys. The Yeager M in this configuration is money. I really am kicking myself for not. I think I even had an opportunity to trade for one at one point, but something didn't work out there. I think it actually was the flipper version, and I knew before I even handled it that I knew the flipper version was probably going to be not what I wanted. And then, of course, now getting it in hand, definitely, I don't want the flipper. You might be into flippers, and you might have smaller hands than me, and this grip be just fine for you. That is kosher, and it's very comfortable in this backed up grip. This grip, I want to cut stuff. Just want to do it. Speaking of cutting stuff, let's do it. So to show you the blade geometry on the Yeager M, let's see how it does to the cardboard. Oh my God. I mean, it slices, and as you can see, I can go up and down. It gets a little thick, like I said, about 150 thousandths, so not thick, but not thin. What does it do to the paracord? Nothing. How about the rougher stuff? This is Jake's knife, and I know that he uses his knives, and so I'm going to do the twisted sisal rope. This stuff kind of gives knives a run for its money, but the Yeager M, look, I kind of slid right off of it. Ooh, okay, there's something going on with the blade geometry, or just me, because it's cutting and biting in. But look. That surprises me. This is why I like doing this kind of stuff. So it's bit in and it's sliced, and it's a nice cut, but for some reason, maybe it's because I can't hold on to the damn thing, but for some reason it did not bite in and slice all the way through like that one. That was, the other time that I did it. I mean, it's a really nice cut. That's interesting. See, I'm still very unfamiliar because I would have thought, but the way it slices the paper, the cardboard, and everything else that I use this for in my review process, it cuts so well. So not cutting the twisted sisal rope that well really intrigues me. I'm kind of wondering what's going on there, because I'm not an expert, guys. I'm just a guy who talks about knives. I'm not an expert on any of this stuff. So the fact that it does so well on other parts, but struggled a little bit on the twisted sisal rope, if you guys have a hypothesis, let me know, because I'm very, very, now, like I said, it could just very well be me and my stupidity in how I'm cutting it. But that's interesting. That's very, very interesting, because this knife performed amazing throughout my EDC task. That's great. All right, so let's go ahead, turn the camera around, get a closer look at the Yeager M, and also get some size comparisons and some specs, because this thing is freaking sexy. Alrighty, let's go ahead and get a closer look at the transitions, the micarta inlay next to all the chamfered and rounding edges here on the Brian Brown Yeager M. Just look, the fit and finish coming out of Riot. Of course, I expect nothing else. Look, there is the Brian Brown logo. I did not show that. Of course, the blade is 100% sterile. Gotta love that. And the logo is done really well right here. I think it's a perfect spot for it. I really, really do. That's awesome. I really, I enjoy that because there is branding on it. I want there to be branding on it, and putting it right there is just a little bit different. Look at this pocket clip that Jake did taking the color out of the Damascus, I think is, oh, that's so cool. I've really been thinking about doing it to mine on the 2.0 here, but I'm just not brave enough. That son of a bitch just did it, and it looks really good. But nice chamfering around the hole deployment, which I like the shape of this hole deployment. Makes for very intuitive opening experience with the middle finger flick, which of course is my preferred method to open this knife. It is so much fun. So how big is it? Look at there compared to the circle. So it's not a huge knife. It is, I would still say a smaller size knife, but it's not like backup size. It's about the smallest knife I want to carry for my primary. So you're looking at about a 7.6 inch overall length with a 3.5 inch blade. Oh, that's awesome. 156 thousandths on the blade stock thickness and 15 thousandths behind the edge. I do not remember, oh my goodness, what the thickness is now. It's not exactly thin on the scales here. So with the micarta inlays, you're talking about 550 thousandths thick, but I like that, especially in a smaller form factor, because it really feels like it fills out my hand well and is part of the ergonomics of this knife for me and the reason I enjoy it so much. So let's go ahead, put it up against some size comparisons. Here it is against the PM2. Definitely smaller than the PM2, and then of course we'll do it against the Para 3. Larger than the Para 3, smaller than the PM2. So right there in between, which I think a lot of people are going to like. It is a very, very nice, compact, but 3.5 inch blade that it gets you enough blade to really do anything that you want. Let's go ahead and put it up against the smaller ones, the Mach 1, which I love because of the similar ergonomics. And then the F5.5, also made by Riot. And then there you go. So I really think the size of the Jaeger M is pretty much perfect for a lot of people's EDC knife. This thing is made as an EDC knife, but built well enough where I think can just get a lot of work done. And, your regular EDC task and maybe that occasional harder task, this thing will definitely handle it. Here we go. We're going to put it up against the Evolution 2.0. As you can see, the Evolution 2.0, just a hair bigger, but not too much. And the difference between a finger troll and the flat. Now, yes, granted, the finger troll for me is more comfortable. But as far as this knife and the design, I want it. That should tell you something. I want one. I want one bad. Now, these are not in production as of right now. They sold out pretty quick. You can find them on the secondary market. I think they were around $400, I believe. You're probably going to pay more than that if you find it on the secondary. I still think it's actually worth that, and a lot of people won't say that. But yeah, I think $500 for this knife, I would still pay it. That's how much I like it. Now, I'm assuming that Mr. Brian Brown will do another run of these things, but I'm not 100% for sure. I can't remember what state Mr. Brian Brown is in, but he is definitely a Southern boy. One of the reasons that I am more of a fan of his now is because I saw him on the podcast for Jake over at Bearded Gear. That podcast was so amazing. All the podcasts are long, but I usually will listen to the podcast on the way to and home from work, and so I was able to listen to that podcast over a couple of days, and Brian Brown really impressed me. Obviously a custom knife maker, so if you order something from him, it's going to be all handmade. These are his production models. He's done this one, I think one more, so brings his designs to the market at a cheaper price, and I think it's awesome. And of course with Riot, it's at a cheaper price, but so freaking well made. So I can highly recommend this knife. If you find one, buy it. Sell it to me. Anyways, guys, I love you all. Thank you so much for stopping by and checking it out. Stay safe in this crazy world that we are living in, and we will see you in the next one.